We got a trade recap today for Thursday, May 15th. I took one L and one break-even trade this morning. We're going to go over what I saw. These were both retracement models, looking to see this data low get taken. And the first one should have honestly been break-even, and we're going to go over why it wasn't, because I scaled into this. Position here, but the reason I went short today, the higher time frames are, obviously we know all the higher time frames are bullish. We have now tapped into this daily imbalance, and so the ideal trade would be displacement to the upside, and to target this externally target this daily buy side liquidity. That is the main, that's the textbook trade for this morning. Scaling into the but the reason I went short here is because we had CPI, or high impact news. I forgot. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. We had high impact red folder news pre-market, and we formed this data low down here. And so that was my draw for both of these trades here. In addition to that, in order to be bullish, right, on NQ, I would need to see this bearish imbalance get ran through, and we have continued to respect it all morning. You know, it looks like we're finally running through it right now, but until just now we have respected it all morning, and we've chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped around. So that's why I was going short here. Yes, this is a lower probability trade. I wasn't even targeting this 1 hour sell side liquidity, which would be the internal model from this 1 hour fair value gap right here. I wasn't even targeting here. I was targeting this data low, solely that data low, because I realized that the higher time frames are bullish, and we've been bullish all week. And we were continuing to hold this 1 hour fair value gap. We also had an SMT here with ES, a bearish SMT. So if we scale into the 1 minute chart, going from a 1 hour fair value gap to the 1 minute chart, because it is right when market opens, we have that SMT here. We also come up and sweep this internal liquidity for the first trade. So what I'm looking for is an inverse fair value gap and a change in the state. The change in the state would be here, because as of right now the SMT is right here. This is the last up close candle that swept liquidity and caused the SMT, and then we run through this bullish, these two bullish imbalances right here. So we get the inverse and the change in the state, internal sweep on liquidity. We have that high time frame SMT, and we have this draw on liquidity in the form of a data low. You can see how irregular this price wick is. So we get this candle close here, and I entered. It was about a 2 to 1 risk to reward ratio, and I originally told myself, if we come down to this low right here, stops go to break even. Want to be safe because it is a retracement model, and I know that the higher time frames are bullish. And so yeah, so we continue in price, and then we come up, rebalance to the change in the state. This becomes our order block, and once we're up here, I tell myself, okay, I will move stops to break even. Once we come down and take this internal swing low, we also ended up coming and taking this internal low as well. But once this happens, and we get this big displacement right here, this big displacement candle, we also put in an internal SMT with ES. ES took this high, NQ didn't. So we have this internal SMT, and then we displace lower, violently displace lower. And so because of that, I'm like, okay, I feel super confident at this point that we're gonna come down and take this data low. So I'm like, okay, I will add a couple contracts and scale into this position once we come up to equilibrium right here. And so I put a limit order at equilibrium, and because I did that, I kept my stop loss above this internal SMT, and I scaled in at equilibrium right here. So now my stop loss is above this internal SMT, scaled in at equilibrium within this bearish fair value gap, wanting to see us continue lower here. And if we continue in price, we come up and we get stopped out. So this was a full loss for me because I scaled in and moved stops down, but I increased my risk after this big displacement, which gave me the confidence. And so I didn't technically do anything wrong other than the fact that I moved my original break-even point. And I think in the future, it's probably smart to not scale into retracement models, because I knew this was lower probability. I knew this was going against the higher time frame trend, but I had confidence. We had our entry model, and I had confidence in us coming down to take this liquidity, this data low down here. So I had enough confidence to enter the trade, right? But I just think in the future, when it's a retracement model, not scaling in is probably a lot smarter, because scaling in, it skews your risk a little bit in the fact that you have to move, or it makes you move stops lower in order to increase your contracts on the trade, right? And so it makes you manage your risk a little bit differently, because had I not scaled in, stops would have been moved to break even here. It sucks. Like on a retracement, we're this deep into profit. And if we come back up to this point, it's hard to want to be in the trade when it's going against the higher time frame bias. So that was the first trade. That was an L. And then we come back up. So it was an L because I scaled in, right? And I didn't move stops break even here. So we then come back up and resweep liquidity. We resweep liquidity here, and we're still holding this higher time frame bearish SMT. We're also still holding this 1 hour fair value gap, and then we get this displacement right here, inverse fair value gap. Now the change in the state didn't happen. It actually didn't happen. I entered early, which I shouldn't have done. But ES got the change in the state with the exact same entry. So ES closed below the last series of closed candle, which caused the internal sweep and the manipulation. And you can see NQ barely didn't. I still entered on NQ though once we retraced back to this inverse fair value gap. Because ES did. Should I have really done that? No, probably not. But either way, I was in on this trade as well. I was like, okay, maybe we just got stop punted. We're still right after the 950 to 1010 macro. So maybe we just get stop punted and we dump to this data low. And then we come back up, almost get stopped out here. And then we finally come down and displace lower, get the change in the state. I added 2 contracts there. I scaled in a little bit, added a couple contracts, moved stops down to above these highs once we finally got the change in the state. And I moved stops to break even once we took out this internal low, because right now, look at price action. We have gone nowhere for the past 2 hours, right? Since 8:30. It is now, what time? It's 10:30. So for the past 2 hours, we've done nothing but chop and chop and chop and chop and chop and chop and chop. So I'm already in this trade, right? And I move stops to break even. Still wanting to see this data low, right, play out, and we come down and we get stopped at break even. And so the market did nothing, and now we're finally getting displacement to the upside. Probably going to go take this daily buy side liquidity after running through this bearish imbalance, which is what I needed to see in order to be bullish. I needed to see that displacement higher. So yeah, 1 loss here, 1 break even here. Technically should have both been break even. I think in the future, when I'm taking a retracement model, and I know that it's lower probability, I think not scaling in is definitely the smartest thing. But I took this trade because I had confidence in this data low, and we were holding this bearish imbalance, SMT, internal sweep, and so those were the 2 trades for me this morning. Yeah, unfortunate, but it happens. It happens sometimes. And now we're finally getting this displacement higher on the 15-minute. These are relative equal highs on ES as well. So I would actually be pretty confident in longs here, but I'm done for the day. And so, yeah, man, that's the trade recap for me. Let me know if y'all took a trade. Hopefully, the AM session was awful this morning, so hopefully y'all didn't get too chopped up. Yeah, man. So that's how I traded this morning. Let me know what, like I'm saying, I hope y'all didn't get too chopped out, because these are market conditions where it's easy to take multiple losses. And then, but so yeah, man, longs look pretty good now after we're getting this displacement higher, which is going with the overall higher time frame trend. So you could say that I should have just waited for this displacement, and I kind of agree with you. But if we didn't have a data low here, then I wouldn't have been taking shorts. But this was my drawn liquidity for the morning. We didn't take it, so that's gonna do it for me. And so yeah, man, I appreciate you watching. Let me know if y'all took a trade or not. I will see y'all tomorrow in the trade recap. Peace out.